It's time for Football at 4 with Adam Caplan.
I have real confidence that our football operations can once again create a dominant football team.
Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios. It's Football at 4.
All right, Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, which was excellent all week long. They gave you great insight on the draft and to get you ready for the draft last night and plenty more reaction. You can check out their YouTube channel. And, of course, the Inside the Birds podcast drops on Monday morning at 6. I'm sure more reaction to rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the third man of the NWO, he is Adam Caplan, and he joins us now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. All right, happy Friday there, Adam. How are you?
Good to talk to you, Mike. Yeah, we're going to drop. What we're doing is, so for the listeners, so they know this, we're dropping a ton of extra content. So what we did last night, Jeff Mosher and I, we had last night, we dropped a review of round one and all the intel of what we were told. We're going to talk about some of it today. But we talked about what we were hearing about trading up, trading down, and so forth. And then we're going to do the same thing tonight. We're going to review rounds 2 and 3 right after it's over. So it's the third round won't be over till around midnight, I believe. So it's going to be a little bit late. And we'll put that on all our platforms, YouTube, Apple and Android. And then we'll do the same thing after rounds 4 through 7. Then our Monday morning show will break down 1 through 7. We're going to review their draft. We give you the intel on where we think these guys are going to fit in. So, yeah, you're right. We got a lot of things going on.
Yeah, and by the way, I think people will stay up to watch. So there's a lot of interest starting about what they did last night. On Thursday night, Devonta Smith goes number 10. Give us a little background on how this went down, because one thing that I was sure, Adam, was that Philly and Dallas would likely not play nice in the sandbox. There was one thing I was incorrect on.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't see that coming. Mosher and I did separate reporting on this. The Eagles were, though we had similar information. So I reported that the Panthers and Eagles were in pretty heavy talks earlier this week. The Eagles felt that the word that was given to me is the Eagles felt that the trade up was too big to go to 8. And what we were hearing, Jeff and I were hearing, was going to be for a receiver. Now, whether it's Waddle or Smith, I don't know. But at this point, it probably would be Smith. They were definitely going to trade up to 8 if they could, or 9. As Jeff reported, they talked to Denver. Now, here's what I don't know. We knew, Jeff and I know, it was either Surtain or Smith at 9. I don't know one way or the other whether if there's a separation of who they were going to get, who they wanted. But I just find it hard to believe that they would not trade up for a cornerback because it was their biggest need. Receiver obviously was a need. And we'll get to Smith and what he brings in a second. But I had reported before the show started, we did a pre-draft show. So Jeff, I heard from an NFL general manager, told me he's pretty certain both corners are going to go in the top 10. But what I didn't know is, and I said this to Jeff, maybe with the Lions take with 7, because we reported they were looking to trade down. Now they went with Sewell, who most people thought would not go to 7. They thought he'd go at 5 or 6. So this first round, Mike, was not about trades. There were only 3 of them. It was about players dropping and players going ahead earlier than we expected. The Raiders baffled me once again, taking Alex Leatherwood way earlier than we expected. But getting back to the Eagles, when you look at Devonta Smith, as you said, now the Eagles believed, talking to an Eagle source, that they thought the Giants were going to take him. They were right in that. Now I got to give Howie Roseman credit in his front office. They knew they were going to take a receiver. The best receiver on the board at 10 was Devonta Smith. Jalen Waddle, depending on which team you talk to, was probably the higher graded player. Well, he went off at 6. There was no question about that. They weren't getting him. But they traded up for Smith because he was the highest graded player on their board. He was one of the top 12 players on their board, by the way. They had the 12th pick overall. So they gave up the extra third. And Jeff and I said there was 0 chance they would have 12 picks by the end of this draft. My number was 9. I don't think they'll have fewer than 9. They'll probably have 9 or 10 by the end of it. They're now 1 down. I wouldn't. Now, I know people. I have a Twitch channel, which I announced this week. I did Twitch today and yesterday. If someone asked me, and it's a great question, Mosher and I know for a fact that they considered trading down. That player trading down, the player that they would have targeted would be Kwity Paye. As I told you on your show last Friday, they would not take him at 12. That was not a consideration. It was never a consideration. 12 is consideration, as I understand it, trading down. And Jeff and I had heard separately, together, that that was a player they would have traded down for. What I find interesting about Kwity Paye, Mike, is that he dropped to 21. And how I was very surprised that he went that far down. I thought the Raiders would take him to 17. But once again, the Raiders baffled America and took a player that was had a lower grade.
All right, Adam, that's interesting because all week I said if I'm Howie Roseman, I'm calling the Bears and I am demanding a first-round pick, and I would have moved to 20 and taken. In this case, you would have got Kwity Paye and a first-round pick next year. That's the deal that I wanted them to make. The giant deal was the deal that I wanted Roseman to make.
Well, I know, here's what I could tell you. I know that they spoke, okay? I don't know yet exactly what went on. I might suspect that what you said was discussed, but I just know that the Bears called – I spoke to 3 teams, and they all said that Ryan Pace is fiercely trying to trade up. Now, they knew it was a quarterback. They didn't know which one. The word I got was either going to be Mac Jones or Justin Fields. It was Fields.
They got the better one.
Right. Now, here's a question, Mike. Let me throw this back to you being an Eagle guy, right? Okay, so let's say that scenario. Let's say hypothetically the Eagles and Bears talked about it, because I know they talked. The question is, let's say they were offered the same offer, right? Let's say hypothetically they went at the same offer. Yes, potentially they could have 4 first-round picks next year if the Wentz pick converts to a first. But here's the problem. Kadarius Toney is a much lower graded player than Devonta Smith. It's not close. Now, they could have had Kwity Paye. Okay, that was their trade down possibility as we outlined. Okay, nice player, good player. They need a younger DN. It's a by draft grades. He had a much lower grade than Smith. So your question is, okay, do I take the extra first round pick and all that comes with it, or do I take Kadarius Toney, Kwity Paye? I don't know what I want. You know what? A first-round pick is nice. Yes, this is a semi-rebuild, but you're taking far less players. That's the debate I'm sure the teams would have.
Yeah, I mean, Bateman could have been in play there, too, at 20. I mean,
he's okay. He's okay.
Right, no, I'm saying, but, like, obviously, if they liked Paye enough that they felt comfortable trading back for. That's like, if you had a player graded high enough that, hey, I would feel great at 20, that's their board. Might not be our board, but if they said, in my mind, hey, we have Smith here, and we have Kwity Paye as maybe our 15th guy, and you got him at 20 and a first-round pick next year, that's where I thought the Giants, maybe they took the player they took was too high, but I like that deal if it was proposed to Philadelphia. Now, in the end, we're probably gonna have something on this. We do our show tonight. We'll nail it down. Okay,
we'll have an update. But
that's good.
It was interesting. I got to tell you, the Eagles talked to Carolina, as I mentioned. They went up talking to Denver. They tried. Denver didn't take the quarterback Fields, which I put him in my mock draft. They took Surtain. Now, I did mention on our pre-draft show that
turned the whole draft upside down.
Well, here's what happened. I said to Jeff, and Greg Cosell was with us, I said, don't discount Denver for a corner. I didn't know it would be Horner or Surtain, but I said, here's why, and I went over the contracts. It's really important when you do a mock draft, you know about contract structure. 2 of their top 3 corners, their contracts expire after the season. I said, because there's no defensive end or a pass rusher to take there, don't count them out for a corner. And I did report that there was probably going to be 2 corners going in the top 10. That's exactly what happened. And now the Eagles, they got a problem now at cornerback for taking a receiver there, and I don't blame him. He's a great player.
Yeah.
But cornerback is still an issue.
Yeah, no doubt. And Roseman indicated last night that if a corner is not the highest guy on the board, they're not going to go off the board.
Well, and you know what? And it's funny. I don't know if you watched our pre-draft show. I said, I know people are going to laugh at this, and they're going to make fun of me. But I think it's worth pointing out because people keep asking me this question. As much as I was insulted by it, I said, you know what? I'm going to deal with it. So a couple of people asked me on our Inside the Birds board, well, like, Howie Roseman tried to draft better because of how Bailey did, or is he going to react to the fans? Like, obviously, that's kind of a juvenile question, but I get it. Fans are sick and tired of Roseman drafting poorly. Okay. Did you notice in Roseman's talk that, we don't usually do this stuff, but I find it fascinating. Last week, you and I talked about it. He didn't even deny that the Athletic article about them going off the board, okay, by not going by the board. I had heard through my sourcing, Mike, that Roseman was super dialed in. He seemed to ask more questions. He had been more conversational. Now, you could read into it what you want, but maybe not that he thinks he's under pressure, but he knows they have to do better. Mike, that's the point here.
No doubt. And
so far, so good. But I'm so glad you brought that up because let me tell you something. I've talked to a lot of teams. There are plenty of slot corners. There are low-end number 2 corners in the second round. There are no number 1 corners. To me, they should not be taking Asante Samuel here. He's a slot corner. Now, 1 point. He's a more twitchy, more athletic, a little bit longer than Avonte Maddox. He would be an upgrade over him, but he's not an outside corner. That is the problem. I know they like him. I don't know if they'll take him. But I'm just telling you that's a debate around the league.
All right, day 2, 3 possibilities coming up, so stick around. I want to get your take on Devonta Smith, how the Eagles plan on using him, and what it means for the other guys, Rieger, Fulgham, even J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, because we heard Sirianni say 2 weeks ago, what is an X receiver? They come in all shapes and sizes. Is Smith a number 1 X receiver?
Right. All right, so let me explain this. I'm so glad Sirianni was fantastic these last 2 weeks. I know he's a little bit too talkative. I know it annoys people. Okay, if that's the worst thing you can say about the guy, that's fine.
I love him so far.
I think he's great. I think now folks, take these comments in increments. Okay, you should like the guy so far. He got over his stage fright at his first interview with the media, which was a difficult time because he had to deal with the Wentz stuff. But moving this forward, if you look at kind of the wide receiver positions, I was talking to a veteran receivers coach this week. I had a real education. I talked to this guy for 45 minutes. He said, you need to stop focusing on X and Z. He goes, just call them outside receivers. He said, they're somewhat interchangeable depending on your scheme. He said, look, he asked me what kind of scheme the Eagles going to run. I said, I'm told West Coast. He goes, oh. He goes, look, if it's a true old school West Coast like Mike Shanahan's, I said it is. It's different from Doug Peterson's. It's more timing. He goes, look, it's shallow crosses. And by the way, this is what Sirianni talked about. It's crossing routes. It's run after the catch. You could do that on either side, X and Z, if you want to call them that, or just the 2 outside receiver spots and the slot position. So the key here is, and Greg Cosell talked about this in our show last night, it's not about X and Z. It's about your ability to free the guy off the ball. It's about your releases. That's it. I think what I've learned this week, and all I do is talk to coaches, man. I talk to coaches all the time. It's about being educated and being an analyst and reporter and a fan of the game. And what I've learned is you got to stop being so stringent on X and Z. So I probably started this talk last spring, and I think a lot of people picked up on it. I'm probably going to back off of it. It's just about drafting a great player, Mike, and lining them up and freeing them up and coaching them. Now it's up to Aaron Moorhead, who's a receivers coach, and Nick Sirianni, the head coach, who's the play caller, to free this guy up.
Yeah, and when I look at Smith, and I say this earlier, like some people have said a little bit of Marvin Harrison in him, but
that's what Jeff said. Yeah, he had heard. Moshe heard from a team. I won't disclose it because Jeff won't let me. But although I don't know if he told me, he said something which indicated it was an AFC team. But anyway, he did say they mentioned Marvin Harrison, and I know the kid Smith was a Heisman Trophy winner, but I was blown away by that. And I was like, man, well, that guy's a Hall of Famer, Marvin Harrison. So, you know what? One personnel director who Jeff and I met at the Combine in 2020 texted me. He said, oh, my God, what a great pick. Because this guy made fun of Howie with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. He goes, this is a great pick. Don't worry about him. He's tough as nails, this kid, Smith. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because he's thin, but he goes, he's tough.
Well,
I'm like, all right.
And I say, DeSean Jackson's 5'10", 175 pounds.
Well, actually, Mike, it's funny. He was between 166, I'm told, and 168 as a rookie at 5'10". This kid's 6 feet.
Yep.
But he's put together more. He's stronger physically.
His top hit. If you watch him, gets the hands of the D-backs off him. Very good at getting separation with the hands.
Which is important, right?
But you talk about 6'1". I feel like DeSean Jackson was an explosive player, but not the polished wide receiver, route runner, hands, taller version, better version, more polished version of what D-Jack brought you. And you saw when Jackson was at the height, he was the best deep threat in the game. But this guy can do it.
One of the best, by the way, in NFL history. This kid is a bit longer.
Yep.
And I don't want to knock DeSean, but let's tell the truth. DeSean was extremely immature when he was drafted. And I'm being kind.
Sloppy route runner.
Well, no, but I'm saying off the field, DeSean needed to grow up.
Yeah.
This kid is serious. He's all ball. We're going to have a note that we got from Eagle Source tonight on our show about this kid and what he brings to the team. But I could tell you, now they've got elite team speed. They've got elite playmaker. And make Dallas Goedert better. It's going to make Jalen Hurts better. Travis Fulgham better. This is going to be a more competitive room. This is a great pick for them. Jeff and I said it's one of 4 players they would target at 12. Well, they went up and they got the guy. So they got who we thought they would get, to be honest with you.
Yeah. What other positions were considered if they stayed at 12? My question was, too, if Fields was there, I guess that's off the board. Because when they traded to 10, I said, oh, my God, they're going to take Fields.
Well, it's funny. I put a note out on WIP yesterday. I said, don't discount quarterback, and the guy would be Fields. Yes, I know. Again, I don't want people to confuse. I'm not reporting that they would have taken Fields, but I just know they liked him very much. Just to sum it up, look, the other positions were corner. They were pretty much split on Horner and Surtain. They would have taken either one. I told people there was better chance that I'd be mayor than one would be there, or excuse me, 2 would be there at 12. And they both went by 9. So it would have been, let's just say, to move this forward here, let's say all were gone, they would have traded out. Jeff and I have similar information. They would have traded out from 12. If everyone was gone, they couldn't get Smith. They would have traded out.
They would have got that Bears deal. They would have got that Bears deal. Man, that would have made me happy. Although I do like this pick. And keep in mind, too, he led the nation in screen yards as well. So there's another way that you can
do everything. Smith is his absolute stud. This is a great pick.
Adam Caplan, Inside the Birds podcast. All right, before we let you roll, 2 and 3 tonight, give me a couple names fans, listeners should be targeting or listening for.
I don't think he's going to make the 37. My guess is Morig, the safety from TCU, will go at 33. But if he doesn't, keep an eye on him. Eagles will grab him faster than I could say yes.
Oh,
Elijah Moore from Mississippi. I know it's odd for them to consider taking 2 receivers in the first 2 rounds. He's just a terrific football player. Who's a slot first and outside guy second. Richie Grant, a very good safety. Landon Dickerson, who's an outstanding center. He's coming back from a bad knee injury. He wouldn't start anyway this year because it's Kelsey. This would be a pick for the future. I'm trying to figure out and trying to find out by our post show. Well, we'll find out one way or the other where they are medically with him. He is a terrific football player. He'd be a great pick. Javonte Williams will be in play at 37. He's the best running back on the board by far. He'd be a great pick. The Eagles would like to have a 2-man backfield if they could. Asante Samuel Jr., I talked about earlier. Owusu Koromoa would be a great pick. Keep an eye on him. The Eagles will take a linebacker, I think. More of a guess, but I just know they're more involved in linebacker this year than last year. In rounds 2 or 3, it would be a major upset, Mike, if they don't have a linebacker through round 3.
All right. By the way, I want to throw this out on Smith. In the biggest game of the year with Ruggs and Judy, the biggest play of the year went to who? Devonta Smith, the touchdown.
Devonta Smith. Yeah, and it's funny. One more thing. Last year, the talk was that the 2 kids who are coming out this year would be better than Ruggs and Judy. How about that?
Yep. And
pretty interesting.
Very big. All right, there you go. The pick. It is Devonta Smith. More on it, Inside the Birds. Check out all their platforms. The Inside the Birds podcast drops on Monday morning. They'll have everything on all 7 rounds. Jeff Mosher will be back on Monday to recap it right here. And Adam's back on Thursday next week for the rest of 2021. He's a Thursday contributor here on Football 4.
See ya.
There he goes, Adam Caplan.